All right, today we are going to look at how to tessellate a pattern, how to iterate a pattern, how to copy it many, many, many times in a rectangular array without having to draw all of this stuff. We can see if I zoom in on this pattern, it looks pretty regular. It's just a bunch of parallelograms over and over and over and over again. And if I had to do this by hand manually and sketch out each individual one of these, it would be a huge pain. I do not want to do that, so I'm going to show you guys how to do this all very quickly. So naturally, we're going to start by going and creating a new part, and then we're going to change our units to centimeters and kilograms, as we always do. Centimeters and kilograms, hit OK. And now we can go ahead and, well, first we're going to save our part, save as, and I will call this Dr. Wabi Origami Miura, Miura Ori. Because that parallelogram pattern is the Miura-Ori fold pattern, which we will discuss more in class. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. Now I can begin my sketches. I'm going to start my sketch. I'm going to start on the XY plane, and I'm going to start by making myself a parallelogram. And the exact sizes of these, I'm not too worried about, so I'm going to make my horizontal dimensions 2 centimeters. I can pick my angle to be just about anything, so I'm just going to pick it something right now, and I'll sort it out later. And then the key thing is that I want my two sets of horizontal lines to be the same length and parallel to each other. And I want my two sets of kind of upward facing lines to be horizontal and parallel to each other. Now I'm going to use my dimension tool to constrain things. I'm going to constrain the height of this piece, not the length of it. I don't want to do this. I don't want the length of it constrained right now. I want to constrain the height of it. So I'm going to click this and pull straight to the left. And I'm going to make the height of it also 2 centimeters. So now I have this. Now I also want to constrain the angle. So I'm going to use my dimension tool again between this upward facing line and this bottom line. And let's make that 75 degrees for now. So now I have myself one parallelogram. I want to copy it though, because if we remember the part I had before, it's not all the same parallelograms. I've got them kind of flipped, and they flip back and forth and back and forth. So I'm coming back to my part here. I'm going to mirror it about this horizontal line so that I get another parallelogram kind of facing the other direction. To do that, I'm going to go to my mirror tool. I'm going to select all the geometry I want to mirror. So we'll start with these lines here. I'm going to select my mirror line. And now note, I'm not even using a construction line for this. I can use regular geometry lines as well to mirror about. I pick that and I hit apply, and boom, now I have my two parallelograms. That's cool. But there's still more I need to do. Now I still need to copy all of this stuff. Now to get this copying done, we use the rectangular pattern tool. And to do it, we are going to need lines in the directions we want to copy. We already have horizontal lines because I want to copy horizontally, but I'm going to need a construction line going vertically. So I'm going to put that in, and again, you will see in a moment why I need that. It needs to start somewhere. The only important thing is that this line be going vertically. It can be anywhere. I'm just going to happen to make it 2 centimeters, but it can be any particular length. The important thing about this line is its direction. Now I have one line that I can use to point down and one line I can use to point to the right, and you'll see why that is important now. So I'm going to come over to my pattern tool tab here, and I'm going to pick rectangular pattern. And this brings up yet another really confusing dialog box. What's going on here is we have, again, our geometry selection tool. We have tools to select which direction we want to copy. We can copy in one or two directions at once. So first I'm going to select all the geometry I care about. I'm going to select every single line that I want to copy. And then, once I have that done, I'm going to go ahead and go to direction 1. And I'm going to select, with this tool, I want to pick a line that is pointing in the direction I want to copy. So I have these two horizontal lines. They're pointing basically left and right? Left and right. So I'm going to pick this one, and it's pointing off to the right. And so now I can choose how many of these I want to make. So let's make 10 copies of them, and it'll give me this little gray kind of thing showing how big they are, but you can see they're kind of overlapping, and I can choose how far I want them to be apart. If I choose 2 centimeters, remember that my horizontal lines here are 2 centimeters, they'll line up really nicely. I could also pick 3 centimeters, and you'll see that these would be spread out a little bit. So I'm going to pick 2 centimeters for that. So that is our horizontal chunk, but I still need another vertical chunk. Well, we're just going to do the same thing again, but with direction 2. So now I'm going to choose my direction selector tool here, and I'm going to choose that vertical construction line I put in, and you can see it's going to copy them pointing down. I can do the same thing. I can make 10 copies of this. Um, but I'm actually only going to make 5, and I'll talk about why in a second. But you'll see that these are overlapping. If I use that same 2 centimeters that I had before, you can see that they're still overlapping, and that's because this unit cell, this shape, it's 4 centimeters tall, but only 2 centimeters wide. So I need to make this offset by 4 centimeters. And now you can see that this whole pattern is going to end up giving me a nice square. I chose 5 here instead of 10 because, again, my pattern is 2 kind of parallelograms tall, so I choose 10 and it's not going to end up being a square. So I'm choosing to make 5 vertical copies of it, each spaced 4 centimeters apart. I'm choosing to make 10 horizontal copies, each spaced 2 centimeters apart. I hit OK, and then boom, I have myself a nice rectangular array of all these shapes. And so that saves me a lot of time if I want to make a single sketch with a lot of these regular repeating features, and I don't want to sketch them out all individually. So then you can just hit finish sketch, and then you're off to the races to begin extruding or doing whatever it is you would like to do with this shape. So that's a little bit on how to use the rectangular array tool.